All right, what is going on, guys? We are back. It is February 21st, guys. It is Tuesday. I started off the week this week with an L on Meta, but I wanted to kind of come on and do a trade recap video for you guys. I know I've done a lot of trade recaps, kind of recapping the wins. And today, obviously, guys, was not the best day of trading for me personally on Meta, down almost 1.7K today on Meta. I kind of wanted to go over the trade, kind of where I went, wrong, or at least I could have done differently, and kind of recap a loss here alongside the numerous amount of wins we've had. And I thought that it was important to kind of go over this trade, and really these are going to be kind of easy fixes, and it's not going to be too in-depth, but I want to show you guys kind of, what I was seeing, why I took the trade in the first place, and then kind of go from there. So let's jump right into it. I'm obviously going to recap. This was a 35% loss for me 2 separate times, and I kind of want to go over what I was seeing. So obviously, guys, in total today, I took 3 trades on Meta. The first one off open was actually a really nice win. I took a small position on calls on this break above the 175.30 area, which I mentioned was a key level I was watching today. Took a 33% win on 3 of 5 contracts that I had on the 180 calls. And then, so the second trade for me, guys, and I'm going to spend the majority of the time recapping the third trade. The second trade for me was I actually took calls on the breakdown here to 175. I re-added the 180 calls. And obviously, I took a loss here. Ended up stopping out into this 10-15 candle, but I really wanted to kind of recap this third trade because I think this, to me, felt like an A+ setup at the 173.27 level, and I was trading the 185 calls. So I had 50 contracts of the 185 calls, guys, at an average of $55 per contract. And so I actually wanted to kind of recap why I took this trade, right? So if we look back here, guys, on the 16th, we had a pretty solid amount of support in this 173.27 area. And obviously, it's important to understand why I was looking at Meta as a long overall, right? I was looking at Meta as a long overall because they had really bullish news over the weekend where they said that we're going to roll out a very similar model to Twitter, right, with the paying for verification, right? I think B of A came out and said they expect, a pretty nice turnout, in terms of estimates on people that are going to sign up for that service. It's going to be $11.99 per month, and I think that, that's a solid, added revenue source. And I think it was a pretty bullish tone around that news, right? I honestly, first off, expected today not to be as volatile as it was on the S&P 500, right? We were heading into a day where we have Fed minutes tomorrow. I really expected a more kind of consolidation or choppy day, and instead we had a really nice trend day to the downside, which is really on me for missing. But I want to kind of go over, that was the preface to this, right? I expected kind of a choppier day overall in the market where I thought Meta could outperform substantially, right? So I took the 185 calls here, risking the 173.27 low of the day area of support that I had marked out, right? The reason that I took that trade is I feel like in this type of market, in a more range-bound market, I like to buy calls at support and then kind of let it work above that level. And that is what I did in this case, right? I did get an initial nice move up to this 175 area. I took off about 10% of the position. I added back that position, so I had a full-size position here into the middle of the day, which was probably my first kind of mistake, right? Is I don't like taking full-size positions into the middle of the day just because action has been so dead. And I was really very simply risking, either 35% stop loss or a 15-minute close sub that 173.27 level, right? And risking that support from the 16th. So that was really the thesis behind the trade. We had a positive catalyst here. We made multiple attempts to get back above 174, guys. And then this is the candle that, of course, obviously took me out, right? Was this 15-minute candle here. That 115 candle, right, really took me out on a close below 173.27. I ended up taking a 36% loss here on the position, guys. In total, down 1.6K for the day on Meta. This is not, a trade that I really am happy about, but the ways that I kind of could, look back at it, and really the biggest thing for me was I ignored the trend on the S&P, right? We rejected that 404 level, and initially my plan was to take the 400 puts for Friday if we continue to reject that 400 level, right? And we really can see that, as the day went on, we had a really pretty solid downtrend here. The tape stayed really heavy all day, which is kind of, a newer thing the last week or so with where rates are at right now. But really, guys, this comes down to me not paying enough attention to the trend on the S&P 500 or listening to it enough. That's really the gist of it, is I didn't listen to what the market was telling me, the broader overall market. And while Meta might have been a nice risk to reward trade there for me, obviously if I could go back and do it again, I would not have taken that trade, just because the environment just as a whole was not A plus, right? It didn't deserve that kind of size. And, I paid for it, right? It's as simple as that, really, guys. I took my loss. And, like I said, at the end of the day, on a day where I, was trying to predict the S&P 500 action a little bit too much, we obviously saw that big spillover, ended up closing down here at 399.37. And so at the end of the day, guys, close at 399.37. Yes. It really just, in all reality, guys, I could have done better here in terms of listening to the overall market. And I think that that's an important thing to understand. There was nothing, in my view, the execution on Meta was what it should have been, right? I stopped out where I, set my risk level at, which was at that low of the day, the 173.27 level. I stopped out once it broke below. But really, like I said, guys, I think I just gave the market overall too much size today on a day where it didn't really deserve it. So at the end of the day, guys, that's the biggest takeaway. And really what I could have done better, again, is just less size. I would have, probably taken the same risk to reward trade again, but with smaller size on a day like today. And then when the tape really stayed heavy on the S&P 500, that should have been kind of my signal. So at the end of the day, I wanted to hop on and kind of briefly go over this and discuss it. I've recapped a lot of the wins. I wanted to recap the loss here. This is one where, the market just kind of got me. And at the end of the day, I'm going to have days like that. I'm going to have trades like that. And this was one of them. Unfortunately, I let it get me twice. But, at the end of the day, guys, like I said, I probably take that same risk to reward trade again. But my mistake was not listening to the overall market more and not paying attention to how heavy that the S&P 500 was. So that was my mistake. It obviously led to a loss. I'll take it fair and square, but I wanted to hop on, recap that for you guys. And yeah, like I said, tomorrow's a new day, guys. I'll own this one. And like I said, tomorrow's a new day. So all right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Hopefully this gives you some insight. This was pretty much a standard, stopping out on that low of the day break. Kind of hit my max risk. So those are the things that I could have done better to recap. There was a thesis behind this trade, and sometimes your thesis just doesn't pan out. So, going to own this one, and tomorrow's a new day. Couldn't be more excited to get back after it. All right, guys,